Hey guys, April here.
And Jason.
Thanks for joining in with us on our YouTube channel. We are Dallas wedding photographers. We've shot over 100 weddings now, and now we're trying to help other photographers do the same.
Yeah, well, thank you for taking some time with us today. We appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about how to shoot a first look or first touch on a wedding day. And before we do that, if you don't mind maybe pausing this video, liking, subscribing, and also there's a link with free stuff in it. I think it's a link to a free webinar that talks about upping your photography game. So if you like what you've listened to today, you like that even better. Yeah. So appreciate y'all. All right, y'all. So what and how are you going, and where and why and when?
Woo.
Let's do all the W's. Are you going to take this first look, and also how's it going to turn out? So the best way to do it is, one, figure out the perfect location, right? So, and the reason you want to do that is because you want to make sure you get your angles right. You want to make sure the colors are right.
Make sure no one's in the background.
Yeah, so definitely one thing about the first look, if you want it to be natural and to be a good romantic moment, is no one's around. You, maybe the videographer, obviously, and that's it. And then if there's a second shooter, because it needs to be a quiet, candid moment between the couple, because it's really more about them.
Special, intimate. They're seeing each other for the first time on their wedding day, so you don't want to mess that up.
No, and you also don't want to pose it. Like, as far as you want to pose it, we'll talk about that in a second. But after it's posed and you tell them go, don't talk, just let them enjoy the moment. You know, this is their wedding day. So, and that's the most crucial part, is just to let them enjoy it. But as far as the location goes, good spots can be in the middle of the chapel, maybe is good always. If you have two shooters, for sure, we'll talk about that in a second. But also on a corner, sometimes we'll do that where they come around. Well, no, we don't do that. That's a first touch. So for a first touch, you can do that around the corner where they're like holding hands.
Yeah, if they don't want to do a first look.
Yeah, so and that would be the second step, by the way, is communication. Probably should have been the first step.
It's
but
okay.
anyways,
It's all right.
and that you want to communicate with the bride and groom and make sure first that they're okay with doing a first look.
Yes.
If they're not okay with it, talk about a first touch, just because, one, it's all about them, so it creates more opportunities for photos and more time for themselves on the wedding.
Yeah, we always like to tell our couples, we didn't do a first look or a first touch. No one could have ever told us, hey, you better do it or you're going to regret it. We would have been like, no way. We're going to see each other on the wedding day, or at the wedding moment in the aisle. But we really have found a lot of great couples loving first looks. So.
And the thing about that is, too, you get a lot of good emotion, and they have some good time before the wedding, because we never even saw each other on the wedding day. It was like, ooh, where'd you go? Like, we're so busy. But the other thing is, that moment kind of relieves their stress, so that when we are taking pictures later in the day, they're more comfortable with each other. Everything just kind of, all the stress drops. Yeah. But there also tends to be a little more emotion when she is walking down the aisle and he sees her.
Yeah,
so a lot of the times it's like a win-win. But know that if they don't want to do it, that's fine. So now back to the location. So that was communicate with them, make sure they're okay with it. Back to the location. Just make sure you're picking somewhere that jives, obviously, with their style, with what they like. And then, two, we're really focused on them. So we're not like, we're always going to look for composition and things like that. But this is focused solely on them typically. So it doesn't have to be somewhere grandeur. Just make sure it's somewhere where the lighting is great and it is also a good quiet place so they can share a romantic moment.
Awesome. And step 3, make sure, or tip number 3, sorry, make sure, if you can at all times, have a second shooter with you. Even if you are solo shooting, I would just have maybe a bridesmaid. If you can ask somebody to video it, like if they don't take pictures, just have some extra footage of that sweet moment so that they have as many angles of that as possible. I always have a second shooter with me, like Jason, or if he can't be there, I will ask somebody else to shoot with me. But that way you're getting both sides of this, what's happening. You're getting the bride's face, you're getting the groom's face, and then you're getting everything. Now, if you don't, go ahead.
Oh, no, if you don't, I like it. That's what I was going to talk about. I
Go ahead.
know that was the next tip. No, you start.
If you don't have a second shooter, what you would do, kind of like what we did last week, even though he was with me, we put the bride and groom on the stage of a chapel or of the church.
Kind of like a side angle.
Yeah, so we set them up to where the bride was, or the groom was facing the wall. The bride was behind him. We shot them from a side angle, so we were seeing her, like, if this is the groom, she was walking this way. Instead of us being one person here and one person here, we were getting a different perspective of both sides. So that way you can pivot over here, get his face, pivot over here, get her face. I still highly recommend getting someone to video it if they don't have a videographer. Get one of the bridesmaids, hey, grab a cell phone, and if you don't mind, like, let's have some extra footage of this, just to have backup.
Yeah, I like that. And that's somewhat what I was gonna say too. And then another thing you can do, if you're the only one shooting, or even if there are two shooters, regardless, even at that angle, like she's talking about where you're shooting straight on and they're standing opposite at an angle, I would still recommend before you say go, run to the front of him and get a shot of, so pose them both. Hey, she's right behind you. She's gonna tap you on the shoulder, but wait 1 minute, I'm gonna take a couple pictures, and then take one of him with her standing off in the background and have him blurry, and then one of him clear with her blurry in the background.
Yes.
Then run around and do the same thing. Take one of her looking at the camera, like looking back at you with him in the background facing the wall, get her in focus, and then one without her in focus. It really looks very cool.
So that was tip number 4. That's 4 tips for you to hang on to today if you were photographing one of your very first weddings. Don't worry, you're gonna do amazing. Just focus on them. And just remember, it's a very intimate moment, like Jason said. So we normally like to shoot for a little bit, but we are not in the way. We are not talking to them. We are backing away once we get our shots and saying, hey, you guys just enjoy this. Like, we're gonna spend the rest of the day taking pictures, so you guys just enjoy your moment and just remember they are the priority.
That is right.
Okay.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks for
Appreciate
watching.
you.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go check us out on Instagram, april.sap, and thanks for joining us again.
Bye, y'all.